Hello there, good morning to you. This is Kakaki Social. I'm on Noshorena Obozege. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's begin this way to say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has pledged support for drug addicts, saying his administration would work closely with the National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and its international partners to fight the menace of drug abuse. Tinubu said this in his opening address at the National Conference in Abuja to mark this year's International Day, Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. He's still away on a private visit in London, so he was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. He is also concerned about the stigmatization of drug users and is calling for sympathy to allow them access to help.
Interventions to address drug use and its associated consequences need to be mindful of the fundamental rights of every individual. Stigma, both social and cultural, which continues to affect people who use drugs and implicated as one of the most common barriers to access support and services, must be removed.
Okay, so over to comment section now. That AIT tweeted this earlier. Oluwatobi responding says, this slaps so hard. Watoluwani says, yes, you need to support your supporters. And last reaction to that, because this was actually full of sarcasm, Sunday Christian says, how about those shipping it to Chicago or through Guinea? No, so let's leave it at that to move to our next story. Nigeria's immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, on Monday broke his silence on the petrol subsidy removal, saying that had the policy been implemented by him, his party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and Tinubu would have lost the presidential election. Speaking on Twitter through his former spokesperson, Garuba Shehu, Buhari, however, commended the steps taken so far by the new administration in implementing the removal of petrol subsidy and the attempt to unify the Naira exchange rate. The statement, according to Shehu, was in response to persistent queries by some critics who have questioned why it took Tinubu almost nothing to remove the petrol subsidy when Buhari didn't do so for years. According to him, successive elections indicated that the ruling party would have lost the 2023 polls if the Petroleum Industry Act containing the petrol removal subsidy removal rather, was implemented before then. Let's see. This is partly what he said. He actually wrote a very long note, but he says, finally, we must be politically honest with ourselves. The Buhari administration in its last days could not have gone the whole way because the APC had an election to win. And that would have been the case with any political party that was seeking election for another term with a new principle as it had. Poll after poll showed that the party would have been thrown out of office if the decision was envisaged by the new Petroleum Industry Act was made. With the election now behind us, a capable leader, as we now have in place, is best positioned to move forward. And they said choosing between the Naira policy and then the fuel subsidy, they had to keep the bigger one for the new administration. They're responding to this is Media Kingi, who says, oh, so caring. Shege delayed is not Shege denied. It is Banza postponed and Damburuba renewed. For now, he says, lies. Tinubu has not emerged as the flag bearer when Buhari decided to extend subsidy till end of June this year. For Sani, but they planned and implemented cashless policy few months to general elections. Was it not targeted against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's victory? And Lay says, so this means that the federal government knows subsidy removal means inflicting immeasurable hardship on ordinary Nigerians. And Morgan says, na format, he no one follow among those who go answer questions. That's responding to former President Buhari. And finally on that, Sani says, a politically correct decision. Well, Before our final story, or before our next story, you would remember the policy implementation and how a Milocon came into being in Ogun State, Abeokuta, where now president, then APC presidential candidate, was angry like the policy on Naira was against him, and he says the party was, or Buhari was working against his victory. But today, they said the implementation of fuel subsidy was actually waiting for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu so that he could win the elections. Well, away from that, reactions are trailing comments made by the governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu, on the killing of the butcher Usman Buda by a mob on Sunday in the state abattoir. Buda was said to have made some blasphemous remarks on the person of Prophet Muhammad. Reacting to the incident, the new governor has closed the abattoir market, asked his people to avoid taking laws into their own hands, but he has warned also that his administration will deal decisively with whoever commits blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad. So he says that our religion does not encourage taking laws into one's hands. So let us try to be good followers of our religion. But he said that the present administration will not take the issue of blasphemy lightly and will deal decisively with anyone found guilty of any act aimed at degrading the personality of Prophet Muhammad. Peace be unto him, in line with the provision of Islamic laws. Martins, responding to this, is saying that imagine what the Sokoto State governor said. I just hope they will not be killing people like this and one day they become the victims, as what is happening in India right now. For Etim, it says it's difficult to set a standard for blasphemy in a multi-religious setting. If one religion teaches that another religion is devilish, how do you deprive him of his freedom to practice his faith simply because it is considered blasphemous in another religion? Well, quite a question that deserves an answer. Their success, Shiko Dinaka says, if Nigeria is a sane country, this governor of Sokoto State must be in custody by now. But instead, they are torturing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that has done nothing wrong other than seeking the well-being of his people. For Femi Nelson, the governor should rather criminalize and punish anyone from Sokoto State who refuses to be in school and not blasphemy matter. This is one of the reasons we are saying the damage religion has done to our people, if not quickly shut down, will consume us all in no distant time. Just to say that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the renaming of 15 airports in honor of big names past and present in the country. So let's begin from top. Akure Airport will now be named Olumuyiwa Bernard Aliyu, Benin Airport Oba Akenzuwa II, Duse Airport Muhammad Nuhu Sanusi, Ebonyi Airport, Chuba Okadigbo, Gombe Airport, Zakari May Malari, Ibadan Airport, Samuel Ladoke Akintola, Ilorin Airport, Tunde Idiagbon, Kaduna Airport, Hassan Usman Kassina. Then Meduguri Airport will now be Muhammadu Buhari Airport, Makodi Airport, Joseph Sawan Taka. Then Mina Airport is Malam Abubakar Imam. Then to 12, 13, 14 and 15. Nasarawa Airport will now be Sheikh Usman Danfodio, Osobi Airport, Alfred Spieth, Port Harcourt Airport, Obafemi Awolowo, and then finally Yola Airport is now Lamidu Aliyu Mustafa Airport. See how it went down on the space of social media. Wisdom says someone should please explain the logic behind renaming Port Harcourt Airport after Obafemi Awolowo, while Benin Airport was rightfully renamed after an Oba of Benin. I'm struggling to understand, though. We have heroes and leaders like Ken Saro Wiwa, King Jaja of Okpobo, and more. So why was it named after Obafemi Awolowo? Engineer A.G. Santomi says people here in Maiduguri are not happy about this. They think the airport should have been named after a first civilian governor, Muhammad Goni, or one of the past sheikhs of Borno State. Original Paul says Makurdi Airport as Joseph Sawan Taka is fair enough. Man was the pillar of North Central as a whole. Well, Jake says Port Harcourt should have been named after G5 governors, like renamed G5, but then I think It's for bigger names, yeah. Richard Etta says, this isn't what we want, okay? We want to buy rice for 9,000 naira per bag as we used to buy it before. Can your party just bring our livelihood back to the way it was before they took over power from the People's Democratic Party? And he says, thank you. Well, finally, to that is Sir Kuli, who says, since we were born, we've been hearing the name Game Changer, but never understood who or what it actually means until the emergence of the Jagaban of African politics. We then begin to see how the game is changed and who is the truest replica of the name Game Changer. Congratulations to every family and everyone who is getting the airport renamed after them. So that's how we call it a day today on Kakaki Social. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We take a break now, then